So this has been really special for me. This game is a dream of mine that I've been working on for a long time, and seeing this release is incredible. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but that we've been selling a ton of games, so it's been really exciting. Yes, thank you guys. Nature is my grail game. So this is the game that I've been trying to design for over a decade. And most of that time I didn't really know what I was trying to do. And I figured it out over time from friends asking and me just kind of figuring it out. In the late 90s, I was a pro Magic player. I played professionally for about 5 years. And that experience was extremely impactful to me. And I tried to share that experience with a lot of people. My family plays board games 3 times a week, so I was really excited to share with my family, with my dad. No one was interested. Couldn't share with my childhood friends, my college friends, my sports friends, that's not surprising. My girlfriend humored me and played a fair bit, but never really loved it. And so what I loved was this world of limitless possibilities that the game designer didn't even know about. And I had a group of friends, and we would explore this world, and we'd learn about these new powerful combinations that no one even knew about. And then we'd talk about it, and there was a community of excitement around that. So that's kind of what that core experience was that I had never seen with any other board game before. Turns out, Magic just has a huge barrier to getting into that world. And so what I'm trying to do with the nature game system is have that same world of limitless possibilities, but have a pathway that can bring people in. So I see it as like a 3-step phase. The first step is just nature. It's just a self-contained board game, still pretty complicated, but I can share it with the people that I really care about, the people that I love. And so that's step 1, just the base game. I played with relatives. We go to this beach house pretty frequently, and I would play. My niece loves board games. She would play. I'd try to hook her into a module, and she'd say, nah, we'll just play the base game. And that probably happened, I'd say 5, 6, 7 times. And one time, I don't know why, she was like, okay, yeah, let's try a module. And they decided on the flight module. And I'm watching them, I'm kind of excited. I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to slowly lure them into this world. And it was lots of questions and this and that. And I'm like, it's too complicated again. That's like, if you design any games, you always make them too complicated. At the end of that game, I was like, well, let me get some feedback. And I was like, so next time we play, do you wanna just go back to the core game, or should we play flight again? And she looked at me and she said, what are the other modules you have? And I knew right then, I was like, oh, she's hooked. She was excited. And then she wanted to know. And basically what I figured out there is there was a bridge to the familiar. And what I liken it to is going from high school to college. Everything is familiar. There are classes. You're gonna get grades. You've got homework. There are gonna be tests. But everything is completely different. First of all, you can stay out as late as you want. You don't even have to go to class. You don't have to do your homework. Usually you have to go and get your test. But that experience is usually so fun and exciting because you kind of understand everything that's expected of you, but the whole scenario has changed. And that's the experience that you get when you do another module is I understand, all the mechanics, but every card, all the synergies, everything is like experiencing it fresh. So that's stage 2, is exploring these worlds that we've created. Each of those modules is designed for a specific experience. And I've tailored it. I've played it hundreds of times. The community's played it thousands of times. And it's designed to give you a curated experience, whether it's size is power and you've got big dinosaurs stomping around, or life on the edge of the habitable world where it's a struggle to find food and grow your population. So that's stage 2. Stage 3 is no longer my world. Stage 3 is where you start combining the modules, and that now you're in unexplored territory. I have not played the 96 combinations that are out there. So I want to end this talk by saying that world is yours to explore, for you to find new combinations, for you to find exciting combinations. Come back to our community on Discord if you want to be a part of the community we have, and then teach me about the game that I helped design. So that's it. Thank you, guys. This is Ross here.
Hey everyone, so I'm going to do a less inspiring, less exciting talk of teaching the game at a very high level. So,
nothing is more exciting than rules, guys. That's
hands up if anyone's played this game already. That's a pretty good proportion of the room. So I'm going to ask a little favor of you once I've finished doing this high level. It's not going to be super in depth. The idea is I'm not going to keep you here. Rodney Smith, if you know him, watch it play. He did a 30-minute how to teach. I'm not going to do that to you all. The idea will be to give you enough information to get going. And then if you've played it, and there's people at your table that haven't, in the first round, play a little bit of a friendly round, help everyone get acquainted with the rules, and then hopefully by the end of the game we're all having a great time and you know how to play. All right, table flip. Imaginary table flips over here. Outrageous. Well, you two can be as aggressive if you want. All right, so I'm going to read you the high concept of the game. This is nature. Many of you may be familiar with that already. Next slide, please, Andy. All right, so you're going to be adapting species in a changing ecosystem. That's the core theme of the game. You're all doing that. You're all existing around the same shared world. So to win, you want to grow your population and keep them alive. So the two ways to score are you get points for keeping species alive, 2 points per species, and you get a point for every food you have eaten in the game. So eating a lot of food is super important. Next. All right, so there's two threats you have to be concerned about. Starving, so not being able to feed your species, and also predators. Because in this game, you can become a predator and you can eat the other species at the table. Next. All right, so nature's going to take place over 4 rounds. And every round, you're going to start with a preparation phase. So there's going to be food added to the watering hole, and you may or may not have food in your watering hole in a minute. If you don't have any, what I recommend you do after this is add 2 food per player at your table. You can do it now if you want. And that's going to be the same every single round. The reason why that's important is as the game continues, there'll be more species in this watering hole, and there's going to be more competition over that food. All right, so the second thing that happens each round is you'll get a species. And species is a size dial, which will be size 1. And you'll get one little population thing. It looks like it's kind of got an onyx or a horse on it. Grab one of those, put it in front of you. And then you're going to draw 5 cards from the brown back deck. Each round you're going to get 5 cards that you can use, and they'll help you adapt your species. So after this, there's going to be 2 main phases to the game. The 2 phases are adapting, where you'll each take it in turn to change your species. This represents millions of years of evolutionary history, each round. It's not kind of like, today I'm a carnivore, tomorrow I'm not anymore. This is meant to be over a long duration of time. And then after all your species have adapted, that's when you're going to feed. On to the next slide. All right, so in the adapting phase, players get 1 turn to adapt all of their species. In the first round, you're just going to have 1, so it should be pretty straightforward. But you're going to have 5 cards, and there's 3 main things you can do with those cards. The first thing you can do is increase the population. So that's discarding a card to the shared discard part of the table, and you'll grab an extra population token, which is one of the ones that, again, looks like it's got a little horse or onyx or some kind of deer on it. And so that's a way to increase the population. You'll need more population to eat more food, because you can only eat 1 food per each population. So if you want to score lots of points from food, you've got to increase that. You can also use a card, discard a card, to increase your body size. And that will be spinning that size dial up to the next level. That allows you to get more food from the watering hole when you eat. We'll kind of go into that in a minute. And that's also a good way to keep yourself safe from the predators that may or may not appear in the watering hole. And you can also use those cards as traits. So every single card has information on it, which is a trait which gives your species new abilities. It might make them better at hunting, might make them better defensive, or more defensive rather, or it might give them the ability to get more food. All right, and there's also free actions. So on the table in front of you, there's also kind of purpley cards, one of the prettiest cards in the game, I think, which is the snow leopard, and that gives you the ability to turn into a hunter. That means you no longer eat that plant food from the watering hole. That means while that trait is part of your species, you are now eating other species around the table, even one of your own. Another thing you can do is you can remove a trait and throw it away, just to make space, because each species can only have 3 traits. So it might be you adapt your species and you don't like how it turned out, you can throw a trait away and replace it. Or you can hang on to a card, which you can use later on in the feeding phase, so we'll get to that in a bit. All right, so in the feeding phase, you actually get multiple turns. So the adapting phase, each person gets 1 turn to adapt. In the feeding phase, you get multiple turns. So you're going to take turns feeding until all the species are fully fed or starved or extinct. So all your population each round start hungry. So what you have to do over the course of the round is try and feed as many as possible to keep them alive. Only living species with food on them are going to score you points. And each player feeds 1 of their species per turn. So as you have 2 or 3 or 4 species, you're going to choose one of them to feed on each turn, and it's going to go around the table until everyone has passed. Again, if they're fed, if they've starved, all that kind of stuff. There's some definitions at the bottom. I'm not going to read that. We're just going to go on to the next slide. All right, so in the feeding phase, your species can eat plants from the shared watering hole. The amount of food you can take from the watering hole is determined by your body size and any traits you may have added that let you get more food. So in the simplest of terms, if your body size were 2, you can take 2 available food from that watering hole and put 1 food on 2 population. Each population can only hold 1 food, you don't stack it, nothing like that. And that's how you store your food. That's the reason why you need to grow your population. All right, so species can forage to eat plants, and herbivores forage from the watering hole. A species eats plants equals with body size plus traits, as I just said, and each hungry population can eat 1 food. A species can only eat as much food as it has remaining hungry population. So sometimes you might have 4 body size, but only 2 population, and people say, well, what do I do with the rest of it? You just leave it in the watering hole. You haven't got the population to eat it. On to the next. All right, if you are a hunter, if you have that trait, that's how you know. What you're going to do is you're going to flip over this size dial to the other side from green to red. That lets everyone at the table know you're a threat. If you are a hunter, you've got to hunt other species to satiate yourself. You're no longer satisfied with eating boring old plants. You crave for blood. So to hunt a species must be able to hunt the other species at the table. And what that means is its body size or its hunt value is equal to or greater than the defensive value of its prey. So in the simplest of terms, if you've got a species with body size 2, its hunt value is 2. That means it can eat other species at the table with a value of 2 or less. Traits can change that. We'll get to that in a second. All right, so what is a trait card? Great question, Ross. So a trait card has a number of different things on it. It may have in the top left-hand corner a hunt value, which is red, which increases your ability to hunt. So if you have clawed, for example, that boosts your hunt value by 2, which means if you were size 2 and you had a clawed, you can now hunt a species with body size 4. Allows you to take down bigger species. It may also have a defensive value, and defensive values keep you safe from predators and keep you out of harm's way. Of course, they have trait names, and they also have trait abilities. I'm not going to teach you what all the different traits are in this game. I think that would probably be a little bit tiresome for you, but I'm going to give you like a rough indication of what they do. So some are defensive, some help you get more food, and some are called trigger traits. Trigger traits basically are cards that are going to be triggered based on something that happens, and it'll gain you additional food. So they have an exclamation mark in the bottom left-hand corner. That's how you know to look out for them. And they can trigger even when it's not your turn. So it's a good idea to, when you've played them, keep your eye on them and pay attention to what's going on. For example, scavenging is when any species hunts, whether it's your own or someone else's, you're going to get the reward of eating a little bit of meat. On to the next. All right, so in the feeding phase of your hunting, species can hunt other species to eat meat. A hunter just kills one population of its prey. It doesn't eat multiple, just one. The food it gets, or the meat, is equal to its prey's body size. So a really good way to defend against predators, even if you can't stop them attacking you, is increase your body size because they fill up faster. That might seem counterintuitive, but if your body size 1 and they have 3 population, they'd have to eat you 3 times to get full. You'd lose 3 population. If you were body size 3, you just lose 1 population. They just eat you 1 time. Killed population returns its food to the supply. So if ever you lose a population that had food on it, you don't keep that food, it goes away because that population is no longer alive. There is another thing that can happen. You can starve. If you can't forage, there's no food left in the watering hole, or there's no species you're able to hunt. It could be you decide to become a hunter and you're terrible at it. There's no one to eat, and so you just kind of sit there real sad in the corner and starve and die. I hope that doesn't happen to you, but if it does, don't worry about it. There's a redemption arc for you, and I'm sure you'll come back much fiercer and beast in the next round. There's also a free action, so this is really important. As an action, if you've held onto a card, you can discard it in the feeding phase to put more food into the watering hole before you feed. So you don't necessarily have to starve. If you're worried about there being enough food there because you're late in the turn order, maybe hang on to a card to make sure your species can get fed too. So what happens if you lose population and you become extinct? In this game, what we've tried to do is we've tried to make it a little more forgiving if you lose population and you lose the species. That's a Dominic design change from the original evolution. So any population that is lost from starvation doesn't get fed, or hunting, it gets attacked by another species, get added to a player's new species the next round. So the simplest thing to do is the little deer token, if you flip it over, it's got a skeleton on the other side, but don't worry, it's not too gruesome. What you'll do is you'll move that to one side next to your player screen, and that'll help you remember that that gets added to your new species. If you remember, many moons ago I talked about the preparation phase. That's when you get a new body size and you get a population. This will get added to that, so your next species will have slightly more population to start with. If a species loses all of its population the next round, it's now extinct. Goodbye, you are in the history books. So what you'll do is you're going to take that body size token and you'll put it next to the player screen as well. That value is going to get added to your new species. So your new species will actually be bigger and have more population than the one that died. Gives you an opportunity to get back into the game. Also, any traits that were lost when that happens, when it goes extinct, they go back to your hand. So you can actually strategically let one of your species die just so you can get those traits back and then put food into the watering hole to keep your main species alive. Although you get bonus points for keeping all your species alive, parents will never say they don't have a favorite child, but in this, it's okay. You can have an ugly baby, and you decide you're just going to leave it to die in the wilderness or be prey to predators. That's perfectly fine. I won't judge you for it.
There's a maximum crew, but can you stack to
All right, so at the end of every round, you're going to score,
Okay. That's
and you're going to
So you can have
remove
all
any
three of
food
the same.
tokens from your fed population, and you're going to put them behind your player screen. Because remember, at the start of every round, you're going to be hungry. So each one at the end of the game is going to be worth 1 point. And if there's any plants left in the watering hole, that's okay. We're going to add more plants to it at the start of the next round. There's no cap on that. So every round, like I said, you're going to be adding, based on your player count, 2 per person. You just add them to what's already there. So sometimes there'll be more food than you need. And if it isn't the 4th round, you're going to repeat that preparation phase. And then next slide. So at the end of the game, 1 point for every food. You've got to tuck behind that screen. And you're going to get 2 points for every surviving species. The player with the most point wins. In the rules, it says if there's a tie, then you have to buy a vegetarian and a meat pizza and play again. I would say that's not necessarily binding, but if you feel like it,
It's binding.
it's binding.
It's binding.
Apologies. All right, so hopefully there you've got enough information to get going. Anyone in a shirt like this in the room, we're here to grease the wheels, to help you get playing. If any of these trait cards are confusing, I didn't really talk about them that much, just to get you playing. Again, if you're at a table where you've played and other people haven't, try being friendly for the first round, just to get the game rolling. We're here to have fun. If it's your first time playing, don't worry about winning. Think about just trying to learn the game. Anyway, you've heard enough from me, so I'll let you get playing. Thanks, everyone.
Woo!
All good?
Nice.
Everybody got 5 stars?
Nice.
Silence.
And the